Hello, Paige. See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. My goodness. Nachos. um, I do a lot of work. I lift a lot of, I do a lot of work. So I don't really watch my diet that closely. I try to eat healthy. I can see. A bodybuilder's diet. Oh, you're a mess. You're a mess. Thank goodness Paige is coming right away because you're a mess, aren't you? Try to eat vegetables, fish. Fish is really good source of protein. Oh, yeah, that's the problem, right? It's I don't have a problem eating the fish that come out of this lake, but the fish that you get from the store is probably questionable, yes. But this next year, 2025, we're going to be eating primarily from our own garden. So, yeah, food the way nature intended it. Oh, I got this knot in my back. Ah, ah, ah. Yeah, well, Kitsy and I, we exist in the same house. That's about it. yeah, it just so happens that if the initial input, I believe, is over 2, when you plug it into the Mandelbrot set equation, that it leaves the set. So the set, if it stays in the set, that's the dark part. That's actually the Mandelbrot set is the black part. And the colorful part are the pixels that escape the set. So the equation sets up a complete either or. It's a zero-sum game. Either it goes to infinity or outward, or it goes to infinity inward, or it stays in the set. Either or. It can't do either. It can't do anything but either leave or stay. So to me, that's just another holographic expression of if there's more than two, more than duality, then it goes the way in which it's explained. Yeah, the way in which it is described. It's described in an infinite expression, infinitely. It just keeps expressing itself infinitely. But if you stay with the two, right? That's what my triune model says, is that this is it. There's one thing, there's just a singularity, which is awareness, which is you, which is self. And the way in which that is expressed is through the duality, through the positive and the negative, all those dualities. But that's it. That's the entire expression. That's as close as you can get, as comprehensive as you can get, is if you understand the Taoism, the yin and the yang, and the Tao. If you understand that, you understand the whole thing, and you don't need to go beyond. Because if you don't understand how that system works, the triune system works, then you'll just keep trying to describe it, and then it just goes on for infinity. And sure, it's pretty, but you're not describing the reality anymore. You're just making pretty designs. So this is the thing that I'm trying to get everyone to freaking pay attention to, is that this is it. This is the entire expression of reality in 3 symbols. 3 characters are expressing all of reality at its most succinct form, in its most succinct form. So it literally is the theory of everything. That one triune model of reality is the theory of everything. And the people who are trying to find the theory of everything doing the conventional routine can't see it, because they're looking for something else. They think it's something else. They think it's just an addition to the process. But there's already over 220 theories. 220 theories. And they're all wrong. But they're just going to keep going, right? They're just going to keep thinking that, oh yeah, well, we're close. We're going to get there soon. It's becoming actually quite comical to me now, is that there must be stages, like stages of grief or something, stages of realization. Is just like first I come to this realization, and then I go to somewhere where they're non-dual. Like, first of all, I went to non-dual sand people, the non-dual people, because I thought, well, Advaita Vedanta, I'm talking their language, and then I present this to them, and the people at sand don't even get it. Like the main guy, what's his name? I can't remember his name. I can't remember anyone's name. Maurizio. I presented him this theory, and we don't really take it that seriously here at Sand. He literally said, we don't really take that stuff very seriously here at Sand. Okay, right on. And then, so there's stages, right? It's like I come to this great realization and I share it with other people and they don't see it at all because they just don't see it at all. So then I spent a decade bouncing around different forums and trying to show people this, and no one got it. No one wants. It's just wild, right? So now I'm at the point where I expect hardly anyone to get this. It's you can't do anything to someone who's completely brainwashed and in a cult. You just can't, right? There's no point. So we got 6 people at the Satsangs that is showing everything. It's explaining everything. The bias of attention. So when you wake up, that's a bias of attention. Your attention is swinging back from the sleep state, which is basically a state of unity, where there's no bias of attention. There isn't awareness of anything. It's just the awareness. It's not even aware of itself. It's just awareness. And then it wants to come back to the saved part in the game, right? Every time you go to sleep, that's a save point. And then when you come back, it's saved, and then you start playing the game again. So when a person loses touch of the source of the reality, there's always this inherent feeling that this is a relative form of existence. Right? There's something more real out there than this. So there's always that intuition within humanity. So when you lose, so again, we know what we are not, but we don't know what we are yet. So then without contact with source, without connection with source, all they can do is project another relative form of existence to try to manufacture a source. What's real? But then it just becomes a Ponzi scheme, you see? So now it's just mind body problem. Which one gives rise to which one? Which one's more fundamental? And neither of them are fundamental, because they've lost connection with the third thing, which the actuality of it, the reality. They've lost touch with the reality. So now it goes on to this duality system that's a Ponzi. It's trying to bootstrap itself into being real. It's so like, and no one wants to interview me. Like, even guys that just interviewed Federico, I contact them, one guy, and I said, like, he's acknowledging, yeah, you're saying the exact same thing that he is, but apparently he doesn't want to interview me. No one wants to interview me. No one wants to talk about this. I just can't believe it. It's unless you're known, unless you're known, then people don't, they can't grasp what someone that isn't known what they're saying. They don't, it doesn't seem to have as much validity as someone else saying words that they're known though. It's the same words, they're just words, but the source of the words is different. So therefore, if I'm saying almost exactly verbatim the same words, same things that Federico Frigin is saying, almost exactly the same. But because it's from Roy Dobson, then they question my words, but they don't question his words. So when he says something and they don't understand it, they think they don't understand it because they're not smart enough or whatever, but that he knows something that they don't. But if when I say something that they don't understand, they think that I'm the one that's wrong. Right? That's how it works, is that they assume if someone well-known like Federico says something and they don't understand it, then it's on them. But if I say something and they don't understand it, then it's my problem. It's a problem with my theory. See, it's all, human consciousness is fucked up, right? It's all bias. Human consciousness is all bias. It's nothing but bias. So but and words matter, but how do people differentiate? How do people discern? I'm saying almost exactly the same thing on about 6 different topics, 6 different things that Federico says. I say almost exactly the same thing. Like you could change one word in a sentence, and yet what I'm saying doesn't hold nearly as much validity and power as what he's saying, because humanity is just full of bias. It just seems like an individual human is incapable of coming up with their own thought patterns, right? Like coming up with their own decisions, like based on just their own faculties. No, it's always in relation to everything else and everyone else. Like even Federico is still trying to include physics and science in his equation, that it's truth, right? That somehow it's a part of the truth of the whole thing, and it's not. It's exactly what's been projecting the illusion this whole time. So it has to be completely discredited. It's been completely discredited, and it has to be recognized as not relating to reality at all. It's actually that's what's producing the illusion. So you can't include that which is producing the illusion in the equation that's trying to get to reality. It's the exclusion of it. We have to absolutely exclude everything that science has said. Like, yeah, science has, as closely as possible, described the illusion. But that's all it can do, is describe the illusion. So now that we've understood that that's all it does is describe the illusion, then it's gone. Bye-bye. That it's just like any other system of thought that just doesn't work. It's time to abandon it. It's time to move on to something new. Science is dead. I've killed it. It doesn't know it yet. But it's dead. It's dying. Well, it'll kill everyone first with it, of course. Not even the people who say they're looking for truth are ready for it, because they can't let go of all that's false, because all that's false is the entire fucking world, all of it. And hardly anyone's ready to give up the entire world. But that's the point of all of this. It's the goal of the game, for crying out loud. Yeah, we had a discussion about that. Uh, yeah, so there's another thing, World War III. World War III is erupting. And these guys are just going to sit around in their intellectual circle jerks and just keep talking about words, thinking that they're coming to some grand realization about something, and they're just. It's like the only struggle that I have right now is letting go of knowing everything and not being able to get through to people. That's what I have to let go of now, is that's the greatest stress in my life right now, is knowing everything and not getting it through to people not being able to grasp it. So I have to just keep letting that go too. It's like, Well, it's getting bright out now. So the way Ramana Maharshi described it is that it's like a top spinning so fast that it doesn't look like it's moving, right? From a distance, a top looks like it's maybe even defying gravity if it's spinning so fast. But if it's spinning so fast that you can't even notice that it's spinning, it looks like there's no activity going on, but actually there's all of the activity is going on. So yeah, potential. So what is existence? Existence itself, the life force, not things that are living, but the life that is coming through them, which is the Tao, which cannot be described beyond the yin and the yang. So the entire model is 3 characters. The language model isn't mathematics or English. It's the number system and the triune model, the fundamental model of reality. Yeah, so action, right? So there's the actor, and then when it's acting, so this is all the act. And then when the actor isn't acting anymore, that's basically dreamless sleep. The not doing must be done. Yeah. The neo-Advaita non-dualists, they don't think the not doing has to be done. So basically what I can figure out from non-dualists is that nothing changes. They just keep living their life, doing exactly just blindly, no attempt to remain thought-free, just living your life as everyone else is. But in the back of your mind, you have a belief that you're enlightened. That's it. That's basically it. They have in the back of their mind this idea that when they're suffering, they're just watching it suffer. They're not experiencing the suffering. They're just watching the suffering. But if they were actually in pure observation mode, there would be no suffering. So the fact that they're suffering, they try to just sweep it under the rug after it occurs and then say, oh, I was just watching my suffering. I don't let it bother me. But suffering is letting it bother you, right? Suffering is exactly letting something bother you. So after the fact, after they let something bother them, they come at, and the narrative they say is that, oh, I don't let it bother me. They're really subtly, Maya is subtly just giving it to them, right? But they don't see how at this very subtle level, and they're close. I'm not saying that they're not close. I'm saying that they're close, but this last little misunderstanding of samsara is nirvana, like that's nonsense, right? So they're trapped. They're very, very subtly trapped. Subtly yet profoundly, right? Because the subtle ones are the hardest to find. Like someone who's homeless and addicted to crack, well, that's not subtle, right? There's an obvious thing that needs to be addressed. But with these non-dualists, it's very subtle, and they can't notice. They don't notice it, right? So yeah, spiritual practice is required. But it's not a spiritual hokey pokey routine. It's just shifting your attention very, very subtly, just shifting your awareness. It's not a spiritual hokey pokey routine, right? There isn't even thought involved in it. It's just shifting awareness, shifting your attention away from thoughts and sensations. That is required. See, it's more than just watching. It's more than just watching. You have to be aware of the watcher. You have to be aware of the stillness is its own thing. It's not. So yeah, it's not just. You have to find self. Yeah. It's like a cat. You're just laying there, just peacefully looking at things. There's thoughts. The voice in the head is a disturbance. It's a disturbance. It's a bug, not a feature. The voice in the head is a bug, not a feature. Yeah. Right, Kelly? Should I get a pillow? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Come on, man. This is the cat that just sits here and doesn't move around all the time and try to get me to pet it. And yeah, this is what happens when you don't inbreed. Hey, you get a good kitty. All anxiety is thought. There's no reason for anyone to be anxious. We're at the top of the food chain. There's no natural reason for humans to feel anxious other than this. We're insane. Well, I'm no longer identifying as human. So some people don't identify as a sex. Well, I don't identify as a species. I don't identify as a human anymore. But I'll still go to the bathroom, where the guys go. Just practice, 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 practice. Just keep coming back to the thought-free space, the space between thoughts. Just keep shifting awareness back to that space. That's all. Over and over and over and over. And so it needs to be two things. It's like diet and exercise. You get the most benefit when you do both, when you start working out and eating right. So in this respect, meditation practice, regular meditation practice, whenever you have free time, instead of looking to be entertained, delve into your meditation practice. So meditation practice is one, that's you're exercising. And the diet is to not look at the screen. So when you have free time, when you're bored, instead of going to the screen, you engage in spiritual practice. If you just delve deeply into a meditation practice, and when you get bored, instead of looking to be entertained through the screen or through a book or any type of mental functioning, you engage in the meditation practice. That's it. It's just do that. But this requires first priority in your life. There's nothing more important than this. It's the reason for life itself. So it's not a supplement to life. Meditation, this practice is not a supplement to life. It is the purpose of life. So everything else takes a back seat to spiritual practice. There's nothing in this world that satisfies. Nothing. So it's interesting living basically in a forest, because I can see the waves of that process, like the seed in the plant, right? So the seed contains the potential to grow the plant, and the plant contains the potential to grow the seed. So that's the mind body. It's the same freaking thing over and over and over, right? That's karma. That's just more. The seed grows the plant grows the seed, and it's waves. So there was a spot in the back where there were a group of a dozen trees. It had been singled out. So there was a group of about a dozen aspen trees, a stand by itself in a circle. And then I cut all of those trees down because they were rotting and I wanted to use the wood before it all rotted. But those babies are there. So there was this one little stand of aspen trees, and then I cut them down, and now all the baby aspens from those seeds are in a circle around that. So they will grow up, and then they will see, it just keeps, and eventually they will die. And you can see it could kind of be looked at as a wave, right? Those ones grow, they make baby trees, and then those die, and then by the time those die, the other ones will be up and making more baby trees, and it just goes. You could see it as a wave. So again, it's analog and digital. A seed would be digital, and the plant, I think, would be analog. Digital, analog, digital, analog. That's how it goes. Yin yang, forever and forever and forever. Until you said, no, I'm done now. I don't want to engage in this anymore. So, and that's also the thought action process, right? So you have a thought, and then the thought would be the seed of a potential action. And then if you act on that thought, well, that's a karmic seed. So a thought is a karmic seed for karmic action. So if you follow that, believing that there's an I doing that action, well, that's a karmic action. And that's what keeps it going. That's what keeps the process of samsara going. See, and this is a big, this is what I was getting at my very last video. Power source is basically the reason, the why. So I believe that last video, I was getting to the why, the motivation for all of it. Why is there this existence? So it appears from that perspective of the tree and the plant that the goal is to just go, is to just keep living, right? The goal, apparently, if you've lost contact with the true motivation for all of this, which is to conclude it, if you've forgotten that, then it will appear as though the goal of life, the goal of this waking state, is to just stay in the waking state. It's to just keep going, and not even calling this life. It's not to be alive. Ugh. So yeah, the goal. So the motivation for this, the reason, the why, is to conclude it, not to keep it going. But because we've lost connection with source, and for the reason for all of this, it appears as though evolution, biological evolution, is just to stay alive, for no other reason, to just be alive, to just keep going. There should be a better word for alive, though, because this isn't alive. Life is coming through this. There's nothing that's alive in this world. We've lost the meaning, the reason, the motivation for this. The motivation for this is not more of this. That's where we got it wrong. And that's what my last video was actually talking about, is it's not literally an energy source. Like it's all metaphor. Plugging in a freaking computer, giving it power, is metaphor for your attention. I wish words weren't so clunky to express my understanding. Callie agrees. And it's magic. There's the step between each definition is magic. We were so mesmerized by language that we think that it's actually describing reality. How can it even touch reality? The infinite potential that is source, well, the description of it actually projects the illusion. So yeah, the definition and the creation are not separate. Definition is creation, which is limitation. You're not describing what's been created. The description is the creation. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Should have said before the beginning, though. Because that's the inability of language to encapsulate reality. But God exactly, God is playing dice here. So God is playing. It's playing. It's temporarily forgetting self, pretending to be all this. It's a game. It's a play. Not to be taken so freaking seriously. See, there isn't, this doesn't have to be. It's scientists always are looking for what they think that this has to be. Like, in order for God to exist, well, they can't even, they don't even, there isn't even a God. So it's just playtime. And a lot of people are, a lot of adult humans are children in that they're still in playtime. Like but they don't recognize that they're playing, right? So that's the problem, is that they're children that are playing a game, that are so into the game that they don't know it's a game. All of this is just child's play. World War III is child's play. This is the last time, Paige, that we have to look through this freaking thing at each other. I will see you tomorrow. Three years. We've been separated for 3 years. there's something fundamentally incomplete with all equations, because I believe that it's the equal sign that is the reality. So the equal sign is the consciousness that's looking both ways. Everything is metaphor. This is a game. The purpose of the game is to find conclusion of the game. Everything in the game is pointing towards the game. Everything is metaphor. You just need to interpret it correctly. It's not on the nose writing. When you're a screenwriter, you write an interesting screenplay, an interesting movie, and it's interesting because there's a deeper level to it, an understanding. So it's not everything is self-evident. It's not on the nose writing. There's something underlying everything. So E equals MC squared. The E isn't, the E always manifests, right? I always see a freaking explosion when I see the E. It's always a freaking explosion. Why are they explosions? It's because we're not supposed to be fucking around in that level. We're not supposed to be messing around in the quantum realm. And I believe that everything that's below species or animal or whatever you want to call it, everything from cellular to molecular to atomic to subatomic to quarks, that's all the quantum realm, I believe. And that is our past. We've gone through that. That is our evolutionary history. And by developing these tools to go back into our past, that is exactly what's holding us back. Attachment to the past. and look at what the development of quantum mechanics, you know what that did? So quantum mechanics basically showed scientists, it was another one of these messages plopped in, or that was manifest when we got to this deep state of delusion. It was telling scientists that that's it. You've reached the end. Science has concluded. With quantum mechanics, physics was concluded. That's what it was telling them. And then by them not concluding and them continuing on with science, guess what quantum mechanics developed? Without quantum mechanics, this would not exist. The internet would not exist. This would not exist. So, the final misinterpretation, right? It's just been given more chances and more chances, more clues, more hints, more clues, more messages. But again, because of the state of delusion that humanity is in, following thought, not understanding the message, it's developed the screen, which is the most devastating invention that's ever come about, right? It's completely controlling us now. Oh, yeah. So all this science works so great. Yeah, it sure does. It sure works to have us building technology that has us addicted and controlled by the technology. No one wants to look at this. Every time I bring out the point that science and thought has developed technology, and that technology has us addicted to it, dependent upon it, while simultaneously killing all life on the planet. No one wants to comment. No one wants to get in a discussion about that with me. Everyone's too afraid to actually tell the truth here. Even the guys that say that we're so open-minded and like, why aren't I being interviewed by the same people that interviewed Federico? Every single one of those people that interviewed Federico should interview me now, because I actually have a deeper understanding. I do. It just, so what? Big deal. Someone has a better understanding of reality than an academic, a non-academic that no one knows has the final theory. Why is that so fucking hard to believe? We have to recognize how wrong we are. We have to be honest and sincere and recognize that we are a cancer. We are a planet-killing entity. We kill planets. And that's why there's 3 people watching this, is because no one wants to admit that we're the evil ones here. Humanity is the cancer. We are the fucking Borg. But we don't want to admit it because we're the good guys. Everyone's a coward. Everyone. And I'm sure that they know that when one of these YouTube content providers, or whatever the fuck they're called, YouTubers, if they're trying to make a living at this, if they're trying to actually make money at this and get views, then having a no-name on there probably gets 1/10 the views as having someone really important that everyone knows. So, I don't want to have that guy on here because I know that I will get fewer views if I get this guy on there. So it has nothing to do with truth and reality. Even these guys who think that they're getting to the truth and the reality of it, they're still in a state of delusion because they don't want to interview me. I don't understand why they can't see what I'm saying. And then the fact that they don't want to have a discussion about it is that they don't want to know. They don't want to understand what I'm trying to show them, because they don't want to have a discussion about it and ask me questions about it. It's just fucking silence. Everyone that I present this to is just silence after. It's not, except Robert Kuhn, but in the end, he just said, oh no, I'm just going to do my thing anyway. I'm just going to continue on doing what I'm doing, getting closer to truth. Yeah, you're sure getting closer to truth. Maybe after another 23 seasons, it's just, they think that greater complexity equals getting closer to truth, when it's exactly the opposite. It's actually quite funny. It's equally funny and sad. No one has showed me where my reasoning is off. Yeah, but you have to. That's what the non-dualists would take that comment and then just say, well, then just live your life, right? They would use that phrase as an excuse to not engage in spiritual practice because you're seeking. It's a fucking mind trip, right? So you have to find what you're looking for before you can stop the search, though. There is something to find. It's not just a lack or a void. It is it, you, it's a palatable experience. I don't know if that's the right word. You have to find what you're looking for before you can stop the search. If you stop the search primarily, you've convinced yourself that you found what you're looking for, but you haven't. And that's what all these non-dualists are talking about. They think that they found it. They think that the secret is just to end the search. But if they haven't found what they're looking for, when their ending of the search will just be living normal life again. Really, just living life like everyone else, but having this idea in your head at the end, having a belief system. It's just like another religion. You're just living your life like everyone else is without any spiritual practice, but you have a belief in your head. Maya is so subtle and tricky. Like anything to get you to just not engage. Just relax and do what everyone else is doing. Just chill, man. Like it's so easy for Maya to get us distracted, especially in this final stage of Kali Yuga. And another thing about these spiritual teachers that have a lot of followers, you'll find that subtly, eventually, like I've known these, I don't follow them, but I know of a lot of these non-dual teachers for like a decade now. And there's been a couple of them that are coming out and it's like, oh, I give up on non-duality. Like in the end, it doesn't work because some of these people are coming out now and it's just like, well, you're just a freaking person like everyone else. So someone that has issues is more interesting than someone that's got everything figured out. Right? So me sitting here with a grin on my face, just doing nothing, sitting here and happy, isn't going to appeal to people who are still wanting action and involvement in this world. So they want their spirituality to include all this nonsense. So they'll search out a teacher that still has issues, and then they can all say, "Oh, see, being spiritual and being enlightened is just like being a normal person," except not noticing that person obviously is not enlightened and shouldn't be a spiritual teacher. They're just like everyone else that just has a belief in their head, and they're not really practicing it. They're not awake at all. They're just saying the words that awake people say or a close facsimile of it. So everything that's interesting is train wrecks are interesting, right? Things that are fucked up are interesting to watch and be involved in, but they're fucked up. So do you want to be interested or do you want to be happy? That's the question. Those are the options. You can be interested or you can be happy. Everyone born into this realm was born into it because of their state of delusion. So if they just keep on keeping on, then that's what they'll get, is another iteration of delusion. We are past the gates of hell, I think. We're in hell now, I think. It's just the different levels of hell now. Aren't there 7 levels? By someone decided that there were 7 levels. It's shocking how fat the rate of decline and destruction, the rate at which this is occurring is staggering. In my lifetime, and it's all the screen, there's only one cause for what's happening to humanity in my lifetime, because I've seen it. I've witnessed the introduction of the computer into this consciousness, into this realm, and the profilation of screens. It's all, if someone were to have a chart of the number of screens developed through the years and everything that's gone wrong with humanity, it would be perfectly correlated. I guarantee it. It would be a 1-to-1 correlation between number of screens and screen time watched by the collective human consciousness. That's probably the better one, is if you could quantify how much time human consciousness is paying attention to that which it has created, or in relation to how much time it's spent in nature, that would explain all of it. It's just like, that's it. This is the direct correlation, is time spent looking at the screen and human problems directly correlated. I don't know if it's going to be 2040. I don't know if the numbers matter, but I don't think there'll be a human left by 2050. There will be no 20. I don't even know if there'll be a 2040, to be honest. I doubt it. And we will not be allowed to expand to another planet. Won't be allowed. That's the flaming sword. Like, that's the flaming sword that's protecting us from attaining the tree of life. Because the tree of knowledge, so these are bad things. We were warned to not eat from the tree of knowledge, right? Knowledge. It's the tree of knowledge. This goes back to my my paradox, Dobson's paradox, right? Is knowledge is the falsity. So the knowledge is what's wrong. Knowledge brought about by language and symbol. That is what has separated us from Eden and God and being walking around with God. What do you think that means? It's like we were aware of our divinity until that I thought popped in, which is knowledge, which is symbol. So now, because we didn't heed that warning, we're in this state of delusion. And people that go into the whole consciousness that enter the digital realm will have eternal life, right? They won't die in the way that a biological organism dies. So that's the tree of life. But that's to protect us. That's not to protect God. It's to protect us from our own delusion. So now they're going to be in delusion forever. So, and that which is trying to protect us from going into it is this flaming sword. And what's a flaming sword? Well, it could be a mass coronal ejection that fries all electricity on the planet so that we can't enter that for our own fucking good. Have I mentioned that I understand everything? I have a natural affinity for understanding metaphor and analogy. And there's been someone else in the past that had an epiphany. My words aren't so good anymore. A natural affinity for analogies and metaphors. That person or that consciousness was going to come again. Not as that same person, but as that same consciousness. I may be the second coming of Christ, he said without trying to laugh. But seriously, Christ consciousness is in every one of us. But it feels like maybe it's coming through this Roy Dobson fella. Because I understand everything. I get it. I get all the analogies. It's all metaphor. And I understand all of them. So there's some sort of consciousness that's coming through this vessel. And surprise, surprise, in the era of Kali Yuga, no one recognizes the second coming of Christ. Christ consciousness is here, speaking through this fella. And of course, Christians are the last ones to understand what I'm saying, what is being said through the Christ consciousness, right? Because we're so fucked up. It's been so, the Christ teachings have been messed up so bad, is that Christ is here now and no one recognizes him. Yeah, well, Elon Musk is the Antichrist. Elon Musk is the Antichrist. He's not evil. He's just doing it out of ignorance. I think that he's probably more right than most people on the internet, more correct. But the part that he's not correct about is really a really big part. So he's the Antichrist. He just doesn't know it. Right? Because the Antichrist will come performing miracles and, right? Like, he's the freaking Antichrist. I think. He would be the anti-me. As I'm saying, we shouldn't be going to the planets. We should just learn to go extinct peacefully. And he doesn't want to go out. He's kicking and screaming. We need to accept our own extinction and handle it with grace and ease and acceptance without kicking and screaming. Because fighting it at the end is just what's going to bring it back again. It's just you're in a cycle. It doesn't. The physical manifestation of people wanting to physically leave the earth is another manifestation, symbol of how the consciousness is advancing to a higher level of self-awareness, and that's planetary. So Gaia is leaving the planet because Gaia, the human consciousness itself, is dying and maybe moving to another planet in another solar system. So we feel that intuitively, but then we manifest it physically by, physical body to go to another planet. Like, no, that's your expression because you believe you're the body, but you want to leave. That what's happening is that the human species is going extinct, so that consciousness will no longer exist. So the natural evolution of it is becoming a planetary consciousness. But if you think you're the human, then you will want to be a human moving to another planet. You see? We've probably already done this. Like literally, we've probably already done this. We've probably already gone to Mars, fucked up that planet. It probably was full of life and stuff. And we probably went there in one of our iterations, killed that planet, and then maybe moved to Earth. And now we're trying to go back. Like, we just kill planets. That's what we do. We kill biological life. Start growing plants and stuff on a planet and bring a planet to life when we actually kill the planets. We can't see what we're doing, right? We're blind to our own actions, our own motivations. We're completely blind. And following these geniuses is just leading us into hell. The motivation for this isn't more of this. The motivation for this is to conclude this. Hence my last video, the lack of the meaning, the lack of the why. Why are we here? What is the motivation for us being here? We've got it wrong. Well, I have a big trip tomorrow, so I got to get ready today. And I don't know if I'll be here next week, next Sunday. Not sure. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay. Bye-bye.